I was living the American dream until I wasn't. When your spine is being eaten alive from the inside out for 4 months, you can imagine the damage that can be done to one's body.
It's like that movie Aliens, just
yeah, it's wild, man. Yeah, it's
pops out of you one day. I know mentally and emotionally you had to be a wreck.
You lose who you are as a man. I took on Congress and I took on the federal government. I was able to go into the most divided Congress in the history of our nation and to bring about positive change in this country. Being an advocate, especially an honorable one, is the toughest job that anybody can have in the world.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. It's good to be back. The Chad Prather Show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Man, we got some changes coming. I can't tell you what they are. I can't tell them what the changes are. They're just going to change, and you're going to see it. That's going to happen in the next few weeks. I'm excited about it because we're always trying to expand the reach. We're always trying to figure out ways to get our voice out there and expand the platform. So if you're listening to this show or by chance you are watching it, do me a favor. Go over to YouTube and search my name, Chad Prather, and just get in the search engine and just kind of wake the algorithm up and remind the Google gods that we exist, okay? Because we're throttled so bad. But I would greatly appreciate it if you did that. And you can also find me on my website, watchchad.com, all kind of fun stuff over there. Got a good chat for you today. I don't ever find anybody that likes the VA. I don't like anybody that I ever talked to. Any veteran that has dealt with the VA has their gripes, has their complaints. Again, I keep talking about people. Everybody wants this universal health care, and I'm like, do you want the service that's at the VA? I mean, is it just hurry up and wait? I mean, it's not good. Things need to happen. Things need to change. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today with my good friend who's joining me, Brian Talley. What's up, Marine?
What is up, Chad?
Hey. The thing about you Marines is y'all never stop being Marines. You're always a Marine, right? You can't say former Marine.
Always serving.
Semper Fi.
Right.
That's it. It's always Marines. How you been?
Good, yeah. Man. Just, hanging in there one day at a time.
Yeah.
Raising the family, going about, life. And
you and your wife have what, 2 kids?
4.
4?
Yep, A, B, C, and D in order. Alana, Brady, Colton, and Delaney. Got to keep it A, B, C, and D. Pretty
I don't
simple.
know where I got 2 from, but I think I did know that you had 4 because I have 4.
Any good Marine is going to have building blocks on their arm with their kids and their birthstones.
Yeah, crayons for snacks. And I did the same thing under my arm. I've got the initials of my kids and their birthstone colors, and pretty cool. I got 4 as well, and they're, kids are a blessing, man. Kids are a blessing.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to fight for in this country, that's for sure. We talk about our kids, we talk about, leaving a legacy, and you did that. You fought, but not just in your military service. You fought the law and won, right? I mean, you got quite a story. Tell me a little bit about the journey that you had with the Veterans Administration and what happened, because you were kind of living the dream, and then boom, all of that stuff just kind of blew up in your face.
Yeah, I was living the American dream, as an entrepreneur. I had it, I had it made. I was, I was providing, for my family in a way that gave them the best life possible. I was a community leader. I coached sports until one day I couldn't get out of bed. And that kind of led me down this horrid, very dark, and, just horrifying path. And my wife would end up taking me to the VA emergency room time and time again. Very long story short, a medical malpractice, gross negligence, delayed and denied care would all ensue. And 4 months later, they would end up finding, a private physician would end up finding that I was being eaten alive from the inside out with a bone-eating staph infection.
Wow.
That was aggressively eating my spine and internal organs for, like I said, 4 months. And the infectious disease doctor that I had stated that I should have died within about 10 to 14 days from sepsis.
God, you had to feel horrible.
Oh, the pain is unbearable. The pain is unlike anything that you could ever describe. I mean, all the VA did is they were treating the symptoms and not the overall root cause of the problem. So I was being handed bags of pills, opioids. I mean, if I had a addictive personality or addictive, they would have killed me alone on the opioids, So it's a good thing. I was taking 40 pills a day out of 12 different
40
pill bottles,
pills a day
out of 12 different pill bottles for years.
That's a meal. I mean, my gosh, dude.
My wife would come in every 4 to 5 hours. I was living in a chair and just give me my handfuls of pills. And that was my lifeline. That's why I lived life for, a long time. And, again, and it all started, when I couldn't get out of bed that one day. And my wife was doing everything she thought that she was doing right to get me the emergency medical care that I needed. And but it just wasn't, they weren't listening to me.
Yeah.
They were treating again the symptom and not the problem.
Yeah. Hey guys, a lot of us are struggling to keep up with everyday bills. I mean, everything is still really expensive. If you own a home, I want you to call my friends at American Financing. That's right. They're saving their customers an average of $854 a month by tapping into their home's equity and wiping out high-interest credit card debt. $854 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise. Listen, credit card interest rates are insane, and most of us are still carrying a balance from month to month. Think about how much interest you're going to pay on that credit card if you're only paying the minimum payment every single month. American Financing never charges any upfront fees, and that's why they have over 7,200 Google reviews and a 4.7 star rating. They've helped thousands of customers save real money and put themselves into a better financial position. If you call today, you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you great savings right up front. Call American Financing today at 888-675-4090. That's 888-675-4090 today to see what they can do for you. Stop living paycheck to paycheck. That's 888-675-4090 or visit AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Check them out. And you're a big dude. I mean, you're a substantial sized man, right? I mean, you're tall and, good shape for, When you've lived an active life, again, you've done all these things. You're a father. You've got a military service. You got a career going on, and big, strong, strapping man. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're leveled, and it just hits you out of nowhere. This happens to people, and we like to think. I think we've realized now. And I refer to it as medical tyranny. We saw that through the pandemic stuff and the shutdowns and just the nonsensical way that they handled so many different things. You like to think that there's some medical professionals out there that are competent and can get the job done, and that they're all that way. And unfortunately, you run into some things that they're not. My grandfather passed away 20 years ago, and he loved going to the VA. I think he just liked the fact that he was a veteran and he was around other veterans. He loved going over to the VA. Felt like they treated him special. He had a little heart episode. They put him in a VA hospital, and the doctors tinkered around with him long enough they killed him. I mean, it wasn't, the heart issue wasn't bad enough to kill him. They killed him, basically. And so, I hear these stories about the VA, and I'm like, how do you fight that? How do you deal with that? Because I know there's a lot of veterans, and we don't take care of our veterans in this country the way we should. I mean, you got illegals coming across the border. We're doing everything we can to house them, and we've got veterans living on the street. They're impoverished. They're depressed. We know the suicide rate's through the roof. They don't even count the we were talking about Chad Robichaud, our mutual friend, and Chad was talking to me recently, and he said, things like automobile crashes and overdoses, they don't count those as suicides for veterans. Like that's not counted. They pretty much only count the suicide. We talk about 22 a day. He said, no, a lot of these guys, the preferred way they commit suicide is they crash their car. They crash their vehicle. But they don't count that as a suicide. So there's, the suicide rate among veterans is far higher. We need to be taking better care of our veterans in this country. And you decided to take this issue to Washington, D.C. What did you do? What did you decide to do ultimately?
After I fell victim to VA medical malpractice that literally destroyed my life, and you got to understand, this all played out over a period of time. It wasn't like, day one, day two. I mean, so for 4 months, I was in an incapacitated state until that private physician opened me up. Mm-hmm. And they found all of these issues. They don't, and they still don't know where it came from. A lot of folks seem to think that when I was overseas, that I digested something, some sort of a infection or something, and it just kind of latched onto my spine, and it lived in a dormant state. And then one day it woke up, and when it woke up, it was aggressive, and it started to eat.
That's wild. That's like that movie Aliens. Just
it's wild, man. Yeah, it
pops out of you one day.
It's a crazy story. So we filed a tort claim for the loss, for my physical loss. At this time, I've lost my business.
Yeah.
My wife is doing everything that she can to stave off financial ruin. My mental health was taking a kick, my emotional health, of course, my physical health. When your spine is being eaten alive from the inside out for 4 months, you can imagine the damage that can be done to one's body. And still, like I said, today I suffer the effects of that. And it's not been an easy journey. So we file a tort claim for the loss. At the 6-month mark, the VA contacts me, and they state that they failed to meet the standard of care and that they were going to be settling my claim, but to remain patient, as this stuff takes a long time to get it all, to shake it all out, but you're not going to lose everything that you've ever worked so hard for in your entire life. At the 1-year mark, the VA drops a bombshell letter and sends us something that states that we just found out that the clinician that we're going to hold accountable for your injuries that caused significant damage and nearly your death is an independent contractor that is working behind the VA veil, if you will. So these independent contractors are working within the halls and the walls of the VA, but no veterans know who they are because they have VA doctor's coats, VA badges, VA laptops, and they're seeing veterans. Nothing would ever say that, oh, no, these people don't work, for the VA, but they do. So they are protected with the shield of immunity, basically. However, the letter would go on to state that I needed to sue the clinician in state court. I got that letter 2 days after my California state statute of limitations had expired.
Wow.
So what the Office of General Counsel in Washington, D.C. was doing is they were watching the clock. And that's their way to protect their independent contractors. So what they do is they walk these veterans down this garden path, and they feed them this, line of, we're going to take care of your claim. We're going to make sure that, we're going to be accountable to what happened, all while pulling the rug right out from underneath you, doing an about face, and leave the injured veteran and the family and everything that they've ever worked so hard for in their life holding the bag.
Wow. That had to deflate you.
Oh, I was done. I mean, now at the time, during the infection, I had lost so much weight. Of course, being eaten alive, you're not eating anything, sure. And as the infection is ravaging on inside your body just becomes this skeleton, if you will.
Hey guys, for 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been America's only Christian wireless service provider. When I say the only ones, they are the only ones, and I'm so proud of them as my friends and partners for this show. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, and they're going to give you the ability to access all 3 major networks. So if you're used to a certain coverage, you can keep that same coverage, but you can also use Patriot Mobile and not fund all of these big companies that send a portion of your bill to leftist causes. So if you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're sending a message that you support free speech, religious freedom, the sanctity of life, the Second Amendment, our military, veterans, first responder heroes. 100% U.S.-based customer service team makes switching easy. They will even give you free activation when you use promo code CHAD. You can keep your phone. You can keep your number. You can upgrade. They'll help you do that, but they will find the best plan for your family and for your needs. Go to patriotmobile.com/Chad or call them 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, or give them a call or check them out online, I should say, patriotmobile.com/Chad. Join me and make the switch today.
And I was in shape. Like I said, I was living the American dream until I wasn't.
Yeah.
After my surgery, I was still suffering from a great deal of physical pain, but now my anxiety and the emotional piece began to compound like interest. I lived in a chair. I didn't come out of my room. I self-isolated. I ate. And I gained a lot of weight. I was, over 300 pounds.
Really?
And, again, I was living a life of sadness, and my body was absolutely riddled with anxiety. And I'm gonna lose it all.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna lose it all due to no fault of my own. And, I've been dealt a horrifying hand here, but it's the hand I've been dealt. And so, I was absolutely defeated. And I didn't think I would ever come back from it.
Yeah.
Because once they tell you that everything's going to be okay and you're going to end up, getting your claim approved, that's when you kind of let your guard down, saying, okay, the VA has it, we're doing the right thing here. We're not bugging them. They said to be patient, so we're doing everything the right way, we thought.
Yeah.
So
obviously you got better. You healed up a little bit. Got out of the chair because you're here. Did the medicine work? I mean, did it fight off the infection? And was that your road to physical recovery? Because I mean, I know it's one thing that you're physically sick, and then you get a letter like that, and they do everything they can to break you even further down, and now you're launched into depression and anxiety,
right,
and stress, and so I know mentally and emotionally you had to be a wreck. But how did your body ultimately get better?
My body is not better to this day. Once I got done with the surgery, they were cutting out bone disc, tissue, you name it. They cut out so many parts of my spine to remove the infection, and then it was 4 months on a PICC line. That destroyed my belly, in my innards too. Additionally, it was just again, very, very bad experience. Today, you say, well, you got better. Well, yeah, I got better. I decided to get up and out of my chair one day. And that was me getting 1% better. Now, I live in daily pain. I get out of bed at a 4, 5, 5, 6 every single day. I have to push myself to be better. I have to push myself to live the life that I want to and deserve to live with my family. I lost over 5 years of my life sitting in a chair. And I couldn't do it anymore. I was a motivator. I was the guy that always was the party in the room, the guy that, a lot of people came to, because I was a successful guy and, had the family and had the, the business and like I said, everything was great. But I took it upon myself to get better emotionally and mentally, and the physical part kind of followed. Like every single day, I challenged myself to go out and walk. And I challenge myself every single day to eat one meal a day. I challenge myself every day to make myself uncomfortable. And that's how I've began to heal, to get 1% better. Now, it's not all come easy at all. I mean, I struggle every single day. What people see on the outside, is definitely not what I feel on the inside.
Right.
So that's, been a tough journey. Now, to go on a little bit more with the story, after I had fallen victim to the VA malpractice, and now they had just stuck me with this legal malpractice, that was the kill shot that put me on my knees.
Yeah.
I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to recover from this. So I started doing some research, and I found that this has been going on for 74 years within the VA, this whole independent contract clause.
Just delaying the letter and things like that.
Right.
Just making it where makes it sound like you can get some, but you're not getting it.
Right.
Yeah,
so
they're just screwing veterans.
In 1946, back when I think our government had the veterans and the American people's best interest at heart, is when they developed this law that stated, hey, look, we're going to, be accountable for everything that happens in the VA. But if it's an independent contractor, we got to let the veteran know so they can go out and they could sue that clinician out in state court. But they were very transparent with it. Over the years, they're like, this is actually working to our advantage, because now we don't need to actually, when malpractice happens by an independent contractor, it doesn't happen within the VA. So it's how they water down their numbers, right? So if you have, 10 VA doctors and you have, 20 independent contractors, and the 20 independent contractors commit 100 cases of VA malpractice and the VA employees don't commit 0, the numbers that they provide are 0. It's not the 100, because they are completely out on an island somewhere. Wow. And so the VA is like, well, if we could start cherry picking, like in my case, there was like 12 clinicians that all failed to meet the standard of care. One of them was a VA, or one of them was an independent contractor. So what the Office of General Counsel did is they very cleverly cherry picked the fall guy here. Mm-hmm. So they knew this.
Wow.
They strategically knew this well before we did. So they knew that they were going to ruin the life of a great all-American family that's never done anything to ever deserve anything like the hand that we were getting ready to be dealt. And they withheld this crucial information to protect themselves and to protect the independent contractor. Because if you protect the independent contractor, now that independent contractor is not going to have any check marks, so they're still going to be within good standing within the VA. And also, if they keep that past the 1 hour, you can't go to the National Practitioner Data Bank and file a complaint, because those statute of limitations have now expired. So I started to look down the road. How many people has this happened to? How long has this been going on within the VA? Well, the numbers I found were horrifying. Mm-hmm. And typically, if you go through something like this, you don't recover. The veteran either dies or they give up and they go into hiding for the rest of their life, like I did. Yeah. Self-isolating, you lose it all, and you become a victim for the rest of your life. You are just a victim. So I called my congressman and I said, hey man, we got some really bad stuff that just happened to me, and I have all this information here and I want to share it with you. Yeah. Well, soon after that, he was indicted on federal charges. Wow. And he was forced out of Congress. So now I would be the only congressional district in the United States of America that wouldn't have a sitting member of Congress.
We talk a lot about COVID and vaccines, long COVID, long vax, dying suddenly. I mean, a lot of buzzwords are out there. Well, you like it or not, between the virus, vaxes, shedding, jabbed or not, most of us, you got toxins inside of your body, man, and it means it's like a ticking time bomb just waiting to blow. We've got all kind of poisons inside of us. So the simple solution to help you and your family is with a company that I know as Warrior Essentials, and I love them. Their patent-pending formula has evolved into the most powerful way to help your body heal itself, turning your God-given defenses for a strong and healthy body just into overdrive. And it's a fantastic thing. Warrior Essentials, it's not a drug. It uses targeted nutrition to work with the body's natural defenses. It removes toxins, and it repairs circulatory health. It's going to restore your body back to its ability to heal itself. So today we're able to share a special offer with you guys. Go to recoverwithchad.com, save up to 50% off regular prices plus free shipping. Help get rid of the toxic spike proteins, boost your health. We can't save our country if you're falling over dead. So recoverwithchad.com, that's recoverwithchad.com for up to 50% off and free shipping. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
So I had to take it upon myself to draft my own bill, to put pencil to paper, pick up a law book, get it all in bill form, take a flight to D.C., filled up my pockets with pain pills and anxiety meds, and I delivered the very bill that I had drafted at home in my chair.
So you sat there in your chair and drafted a bill.
Absolutely.
To take to D.C.
Absolutely. And I didn't just take it to D.C., I hand delivered it. I walked up those Capitol steps and I hand delivered this bill. I walked those halls of Congress going door to door, urging lawmakers to change this outdated law that's not only destroyed my life, but the life of my family and the lives of veterans and their families for the past 74 years. And not only was the loophole that got me ×2 on the malpractice side physically, and then the legal malpractice was criminal and absolutely fraudulent. And so, again, I had to take it upon myself to do something that scared me. And again, the whole growth, making myself uncomfortable. Now, we're years into this story now. But when I stood up and when I drafted that bill and when I hand delivered it, that was the beginning of a reemergence of who Brian Talley would end up becoming. So the old Brian died.
Yeah.
He died and passed away. Then I had this period of feeling sorry for myself. But it wasn't just feeling sorry for myself. I had a great reason to be in that chair, man. I lived in so much pain, so much pain. But then I said, you know what? I got to do better. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to take on the federal government for the good of the country. And I'm going to do the job that Congress has neglected to do for 74 years. So if it takes a private citizen, if it takes a citizen advocate, a veteran advocate to go in there to do their job, by golly, that's what I've been called to do. And from that day forward, I promised myself I would see it all the way through. No matter what, I would finish what I started. And I put a lot of pressure on myself because I couldn't continue on with the rest of my life knowing that that loophole was still there and that it would be harming and destroying the lives of veterans due to no fault of their own for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. So
how many years ago was this?
So I got hurt January of 2016.
Okay.
So all of 16, 17, 18, and 19, I basically lived in a chair. Yeah. I went to Congress in 2018. In 2018, is when I began to go to to D.C. I would end up making 5 trips over a 3.5-year period, and the media picked up on my story quickly. Who's this guy who doesn't have a congressman, who's delivering his homemade bills that look just like our bills? Yeah. I did a lot of research. I was like,
that was my next question. How did you know how to draft that?
A lot of research online. I would end up creating my own online legislative team, and I'm like, well, let's get a school teacher involved. And let's get somebody that teaches government classes. Yeah. Let's do a real life bill. And that's exactly what we did. I gave them everything. This is what we need to fix this systemic issue that has been, destroying the lives of veterans and their families for generations. But I have everything right here. I have the blueprint right here to get it fixed. So we put it all into bill form, congressional form, because I wasn't there to waste my time. I'm not a grandstander. Yeah. I'm there for action. I'm here to get things done. But I stood up honorably, and I took on Congress, and I took on the federal government. Not going in there and doing things that would dishonor my family name or that would dishonor the Marine Corps or the United States of America. I wanted to go in there and I wanted to kill them with kindness. I wanted to be able to sit at the same table with every member of Congress, if given that opportunity, plead my case, hand deliver not only a bill, but a solution. Yeah. Again, doing their job for them. And saying, the groundwork is done here. I just need somebody. I need that conduit from here to get me to a real life bill. And I found members of Congress that would end up supporting it. On my first trip out there, Within 30 days, I had my very first bill introduced in the 115th Congress, and that's what gave me the start to this 3.5-year journey of when I started this mission all the way until when President Trump signed my bill into law, ending the 74-year VA legal loophole.
Wow. They named it after you.
It's the Brian Talley VA Employment Transparency Act. I got 5 bills.
Yeah.
So we basically, you go back and forth. The sausage making is very real in Vegas. The compromising here and there, but the mission that I went in on, everything was in that bill, and that basically brought that loophole to a standstill. And what it does now is the Office of General Counsel, they have got to be transparent with every veteran that files a tort claim now. Within 30 days, because of the Talley bill, they need to give the employment status of everybody that's listed on this tort claim, so they know what direction that they got to go to, so they can no longer hold on to this crucial information, run your state statute of limitations or whatever statute of limitations that you may have, and then basically deny everything based on technicalities.
Yeah.
I mean, as fraudulent and as criminal as you can be to veterans. And the veteran community is already an at-risk population.
Sure.
So all you're doing is you're continuing to beat up folks, again, due to no fault of their own. And what it did to me and what it's done for generations to other veterans, it is so I don't even have the words for it. It is it's egregious how so many of us have been treated, because of their medical negligence and their medical malpractice. And now, I'm not and I'm not anti-VA. I think what the VA does in a lot of cases is great, but they have a lot of room for improvement. And so I said, what better of a way to create the necessary positive change in this one area is have the actual veteran himself who went through it draw up a bill that would basically fix all of the areas that we fell victim to.
Did they start seeing an improvement after that bill was passed?
I've had a lot of veterans that reach out to me on a daily basis and say, if it wasn't for your bill being in place, we would have never known the employment status of these clinicians. I feel the same thing would have happened, to us. Now being the advocate now I am in the veteran community, I get emails all the time. I get phone calls from veterans that are going through hard stuff in life, hardships and trying, going through the obstacles and the challenges of life. They look at me as maybe a beacon of hope. Yeah. And and I speak to them all, and I send emails back, and I don't ignore them because they're coming to me because perhaps it may be their last ditch effort, right? On trying to get the help that they need, because a lot of these veterans are reaching out for help and they're being ignored. So that's. Wow. I feel as if, if they're contacting me, maybe I'm their last hope.
Yeah.
The value of my story is, and that's one thing that I think a lot of people need to understand about my story is that I live in pain. I have to cath myself.
Yeah.
I haven't made love to my wife in all these years. That part of my body was absolutely destroyed. My bladder is paralyzed.
Wow.
All those muscles and all them, nerves and all that stuff don't work. It was all cut out of my spine. So my neck, I've had neck surgeries, I've had back surgeries. That's all related to my infection.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They look at me and, hey man, this guy's coming back to, he's losing weight, he's looking good and all that stuff. I put a lot of pressure on myself every single day to be the best man I can be, to be the best example that I can be to my children.
Yeah.
And to be the best example that I could be to other veterans. Because again, the veteran community right now is an at-risk population. Our country right now would rather send tens and billions upon billions of dollars to other countries instead of helping the veteran community, or instead of helping the impoverished folks in poor neighborhoods across America, because those people have been completely disenfranchised from their own members of Congress. You know, there's just so much out there that we could be doing better. And after I uncovered the jaw-dropping information that I did in my case, I was like, this can never go on. But when I started doing this mission, I was like, man, when I start this, I'm all in. I became obsessed. I became absolutely 100% obsessed. Because I could not begin my healing process until this mission was done, passed, and put to bed. I wanted to begin my healing process. I wanted to be able to start the rest of my life post my medical malpractice and then going on and taking on the federal government. So I pushed hard. And it would lead me to, it led me a lot of times to the hospital for panic attacks and for, you know, high blood sugar, low blood sugar. Like, I put so much pressure on myself to get this done, it nearly killed me.
Was there anybody in D.C., any Congress people that opposed the bill? I mean, there's always somebody that opposes something, right?
Absolutely.
Who gave you pushback on that? I mean, was it a specific party? Was it certain members, or just, I mean, because you got to be some kind of an asshole to not want to pass something like that, you know? So when you're walking the halls of Congress and you're pitching a bill that's a no-brainer, it's not always going to be a no-brainer because of the dollars that are behind it. Right.
So by me passing this law, the United States of America is going to lose billions of dollars. They say lose billions of dollars, but it's not really losing because they have damaged folks. They have hurt people, not on purpose all the time.
Sure.
But regardless, there was an incident that happens and there needs to be accountability. So they lose money when that happens. So anytime that you have money being pushed out, they don't like that. 9 times out of 10, everybody was 100% on board with what I was doing in person. And then when I would leave, they wouldn't sign on to the bill, or some members of Congress completely ignored me.
You know, the thing that drives me crazy is you have, and you alluded to it, we've got veterans in this country. I mean, you're going to send $60.8 billion to Ukraine, this latest funding bill they're passing. You know, it's a $90 billion bill overall that they're sending to Gaza and Israel and everything else. And again, they're bending over backwards to take care of illegals that are coming into this country. But I'm like, you know, what about our veterans? I mean, this is insane. I mean, we could have the absolute best health care in the world for our veterans, or for our average citizens. We could be taking care of people. I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't be living in an absolute utopia. We should be doing better than Dubai. I mean, it's insane. But we keep sending the money everywhere else. And we just, you know, kick the people who put on a uniform, kick them to the curb, and we don't care. They're just, again, they're fodder. It's amazing to me.
The work that could have been done with all of this international spending and everything that we're sending overseas could have fixed so many issues. And when we pass veteran bills, I have not ever seen one member of Congress stand up with the American flag and wave it in there
you will
with
search
honor
in vain.
And with courage and commitment and be so proud.
You'll search in vain trying to find it.
And to be so proud of the men and women who have sacrificed everything for this country and have contributed in an honorable way, when something right goes like that, they don't stand up and do that.
Right.
But when they pass like you said, another 16, 18 billion dollars into Ukraine, and they stand up with Ukrainian flags in the people's house, and see, we deserve everything we got coming to us here in America. And I'm not speaking as a veteran right now. I'm speaking as a civilian American citizen of this country. Because we have allowed so much of this to go on for so long. We have no pushback. The only people in this country that ever pushed back on anything is the liberal left.
Yeah.
They are the only people that come in, and I know I'm way off here.
No, you're good.
They don't have to. But like it's like we're afraid to stand up. But that's why I said, hey, look, I'm going to take on the federal government, and I'm going to do it in an honorable way.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it in a way that is going to make sense. I'm going to have a clear and concise movement. It's going to be grassroots, and I'm going to do it my way. And again, that was killing them with kindness, earning a seat at the table. And I knew once I earned my seat at the table, I was never going to give up my seat until my mission was complete. And that's exactly what I did. Now you say, well, did you have some members of Congress that ignored you? Yes, a lot. And when I started this, do you want me to name names?
You can.
I'll name names. When I, went in there, I was like, Dan Crenshaw would be a great advocate for me. Mm-hmm. Navy SEAL. He's a new member of Congress. He could really take the tally bill, go advocate for me, and get this thing passed. I never got any calls back. We sent email after email after email after email. Never got any response back.
Imagine that.
Dan Crenshaw never signed on to any one of my bills, and I was 100% ignored. But Rashida Tlaib signed on to my bill. Mm. So how do I have Dan Crenshaw not signing on to my bill, but Rashida Tlaib? Go ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
And, and that was all going on at the same time. Eddie Gallagher's brother's walking the halls of Congress. Mm-hmm. He's trying to get his brother released so he could do his, pre-trial, with his, attorneys.
Yeah.
And it was like Dan Crenshaw was doing everything that he could to keep him locked up.
Keep him locked up.
And I'm like, why is this new member of Congress, Navy SEAL veteran, working against the veteran community to some guys that that didn't deserve it, to be treated that way, to be completely ignored.
Yeah. Absolutely insane, dude. But I don't know why that doesn't surprise me. Nothing at this stage in the game surprises me when it comes to Dan Crenshaw at this point. And I'm not, we're not here to beat up on him. I do that plenty in my own personal time and on my own social media. It drives me crazy. And he's my congressman, which, again, I'm going to do everything I can to try to get that guy out. If he wins this election, I'm assuming that he probably will get reelected. But in 2 years, that guy's got to go. I mean, we've been trying for the last 4 years, but I mean, he's got to go. And what you're saying, that doesn't surprise me a single bit. But what you said, you didn't go up there. This is what I'm always encouraging people to do. We're all like a bunch of 5-year-olds finger pointing and getting belligerent with each other and seeing who can insult which side and things like that. That doesn't accomplish anything, right? You talk about killing them with kindness, going up there, you had your ducks in a row. You knew what you were doing, and you went in because you were trying to accomplish something. It wasn't some big partisan deal, that this was gonna benefit all veterans, regardless of political sidings or anything else. It's gonna help, men and women who served this country. So when you did it, and you use a phrase, fighting with honor, I think there's a lot of people that don't even realize that they can take the kind of action that you took. There's a lot of citizens out there that think everything just happens in the beltway of Washington, D.C. They don't realize that as citizens, they've got the ability to go in and affect some good, positive change in the way that, you did. And I wish more people would. I really do. I wish more people would. It's a fascinating deal what you did. But to fight with honor, you know, at the end of the day, what does that mean for you? Like, how if you could share that message with somebody, because I know, you know, people bring you out to speak, you're motivational, you do all these different things, you tell your story at different events, and you know, how do you kind of wrap that up with people and say, okay, this is what you need to do?
So when I stood up, I looked adversity directly in the eye, and I'm like, okay, I have got to, you know, put this all into God's hands. I need him to guide me on this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a lobbyist.
Yeah.
I'm not a politician. I am a Marine veteran. I'm a husband. You know, I'm a father, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I said, okay, let's use my entrepreneurial skills here. That's, you know, communicating. So effective communicating, that's showing up on time, being 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
Being organized, that's the bill. And being professional. And again, not to disgrace myself. I'm out representing 20.2 million American veterans from all walks of life. Again, no partisanship here at all. Nobody even knew what my political affiliation was,
right.
And many still don't know.
No reason for it to come into it.
Because, again, I'm there to pass a bill. I'm not there to grandstand. I'm not there to do TV interviews and all that other stuff. I'm there to create the necessary positive change that will protect 20 million American veterans once they fall victim to VA medical malpractice. So when I was sitting down with these members of Congress, again, I had to teach myself how to not only strategize, but I was out strategizing these guys. A lot of the meetings that I would be going into, I already knew the answers to my questions before I went in there.
Yeah.
Because if I said, if I'm going to be effective, I need to become a congressman. I need to be able to walk the talk, back it up, do my research, and not only transform myself into doing what they do and how they do it, but to do it in a way that would add a lot of value to everybody out there. And again, that's getting the meetings. Once I got the meetings, I had to go in there and, you know, I would have 2 to 3 minutes to make my pitch, to make my elevator pitch. And that's all you get. And if they want to keep going, you'll keep going. But you got 2 minutes, you got 3 minutes, and you know that being on on social media.
Excuse me.
But when I was doing that, it was starting to wake up a lot of people saying, okay, you got 2018, 2019, we went through 2020, and you saw how a lot of folks said, hey, look, we've got a lot of injustice going on in this country. But I didn't see anybody standing up the way I was standing up and taking an approach on to fix any systemic issue out there in an honorable way. A lot of folks just say, let's go do it the easy way. Let's form this mob mentality. Let's go burn stuff down. Let's go occupy these areas. Because that's the easy way. Oh yeah, let's just go destroy stuff. Let's go burn it down. And when I was doing this, when I was fighting in Congress, I was like, you know how easy. If I wanted to form a coalition like that, it'd be so easy to get veterans out there and go boycott the VA signs and all that. No. I was wanting to bring real change, not something that's going to divert a bunch of attention on the veteran community for a week or two in a negative way. And then in 2 weeks, everybody forgets about it. Now I don't have any credibility. Now no one in Congress is going to sit down with me. So I was like, okay, I have credibility. I have the attention from both sides. Now it's up to me to sell it. And it's not a hard sell because it's literally taking care of veterans. It's giving veterans rights. Their rights. I mean, come on. We're talking about veterans' rights and protections here. It should be a no-brainer. This should have never happened. It shouldn't have taken a veteran. It shouldn't have taken a citizen advocate to go in there and to do the job of Congress that they had should have done, that they have neglected to do.
That's the amazing part of the story.
For generations.
Yeah, that's the amazing part of the story. I mean, the fact that you're up there, you got these elected representatives up there that aren't doing the job, and you're up there doing it for them.
I brought it to them.
And I tell my audience all the time, I'm like, you guys have to understand. Most people watching this show, they're smarter than our Congress people. I mean, there might be a few smart people in Congress, but by and large, the average citizen out there that deals with the day-to-day issues, especially after going through it, I mean, you had firsthand experience of the crisis. You lived it. We're way wiser than these people we're sending to Washington, D.C. That's amazing.
And I put on a clinic.
Yeah.
I mean, I really did. I put on a clinic on how to act and how to professionally engage. Mm-hmm. And once you learn that strategy, it kind of brought everything else around it together. Because it all started to make sense. Okay, I understand how this works. I understand how that works now. I understand the sausage making process. And like I was talking about earlier, the compromise, the give, the take, the communication, the sitting down to agree to disagree on something. But in this country right now, that is not being seen or heard. And that's one of the most important things that people need to take away from my story is that I was able to go into the most divided Congress in the history of our nation and to bring about positive change in this country that made President Trump look good. They were passing a lot of bills under his leadership. There was no bipartisanship. Mm-hmm. Again, I had Rashida Tlaib sign on to my bill, and Mark Meadows was my champion. Mm. You know, I had so many liberals. Joe Neguse, out of Colorado, another liberal, sign on to my bill. Congressman Dave Bratt, Tea Party guy. I brought people together. Mike Levin, another liberal, another big champion of mine. Mike Levin played it. He was a complete champion, and then and then on the other side, you've got more, conservative Republicans, and these guys hate each other. Yeah. But I'm bringing them to the same table. Agree, disagree, whatever. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about protecting 20 million American veterans once they fall victim to VA medical malpractice, because it happens all the time. And we had to get rid of this shield, this clause, this loophole, this independent contract clause to say, oh, I know what we'll do is we'll just protect the whole entire VA and we'll just continue to sweep everything underneath the rug. Nobody's going to know what these independent contract agreements are. No one even has to know that they're, independent contractors or VA employees, because we're not going to tell anybody. But the federal government will look at you as a business owner and say, okay, so you come to the same place of building, you come to the same place of employment every single day. You have the keys to the building. You have business cards. You have a copy machine that you use. You have an office. You're not an independent contractor. I'm sorry, by our tax code. Mm-hmm. But the federal government will tell you how to run your business on who's a contractor and who's not a contractor, while they're sitting there doing everything that they're telling the American people is wrong. They'll go ahead and they're doing everything completely illegal and against what their own code is. Because everybody in the world would say, oh, that's not an independent contractor. That right there, that states that they're 100% employees. Again, when you have keys to the building and you're using that facility every single day, 24/7, 365, you are a VA employee, except for you're drawing a paycheck from this independent corporation over here, and that's how they save face, and they water down the numbers.
It's amazing, bureaucracy screws people so bad, dude, and there's makes you wonder how many more things are out there that are screwing people that aren't getting fixed and aren't getting taken care of. Yeah, and that's why I encourage people, man. This is why I'm encouraging people now, based on your story, and you've written a book about this. Telling your story. What's the name of the book again? Because I got it.
I didn't choose this job; it chose me.
That's it. Yeah. because you came over and brought me that book a while back, about a year ago, I guess it was, and thoroughly enjoyed it. It's an incredible story. You got the podcast going too. It's what is it again? It's
Today with Tally.
Today
podcast.
with Tally.
Yep.
Today with Tally. And you know what I encourage people to do is do what you did. If there's a pain point, if there's a pressure point in this country, and people are being victimized by bureaucracy, we got to take it to them. This is the thing. People don't want to get involved anymore. They think they can't do it.
It's too hard. Oh no, I can't do that, dude. I was in my weakest and most vulnerable time in need. I filled up my pockets with pain pills and anxiety meds, and I walked those halls of Congress honorably. And it took me a long time. I was a broken man. And what I was able to accomplish should inspire everybody in this country, because you can make a change.
Yeah.
You just got to be willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
And it's hard, man. It is not easy. But if you can vision it and put together a plan of action and mobilize and create this, again, positive grassroots coalition, you can achieve anything.
It's impressive, dude. It's impressive. And I hate that you went through all of that. You know, I hate that the pain, just the golly, all the stuff that you've had to go through. But I mean, you could have navel gazed. You could have just withered up and quit, you know? And rightfully so. You had every right to just say, I'm done.
Yeah, if I wanted to stay in my chair for the rest of my life, everybody around me would have been like, hey, I don't blame the guy, man. Everything he went through. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, this guy went through, you know, some of the most egregious VA medical malpractice that our nation has seen in generations. And again, being eaten alive from the inside out for over 4 months, the amount of permanent damage that has gone on through my body, even cognitively. You know, when you're on so many pills for so many years, you know, and then, like I said, you know, I was telling you about my bladder, about, you know, a kidney, all 3 levels of my spine, the neuropathy, I mean, I've got dozens of diagnoses, you know, from the VA.
And they still ultimately don't know what initiated that, right?
No.
Just an assumption that you probably ingested something? Right.
So the very first day I was at you know, in the emergency room, they denied me a blood test.
Really?
My wife said, there's something wrong with my husband. He's dying. Like, literally, like, this guy was on the bathroom floor, on the cold floor. He was doing whatever he could to fight off that pain. They denied me a blood test. They denied me an MRI. They denied
what
me.
The hell? I mean, on what basis can you even begin to justify that?
Yes. Diagnostic testing. They told my wife no. The second time she brought me back, which was a day later, they yelled at her and said, "We told you not to bring him back here. He's got to go see his. He's got to go see his primary, you know, care provider."
That's insane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So what were they doing? They were hitting me up with Dilaudid, with Kenalog, with methocarbamol, and bags of pills. They were just saying, just go. A simple blood test would have picked up on this infection, and they could have, you know, nipped it in the butt. But instead, now I'm going on 8 years now with my life being forever changed. And, you know, and it's put me on a new path in life. And let me tell you, being an advocate is no fun.
Yeah.
Being an advocate, especially an honorable one, is the toughest job that anybody can have in the world, because it seems like you're on an island. Nobody wants to stand up and fight until it comes to your doorstep.
Yeah.
Once it comes to your doorstep, a lot of the times it's too late. People will just lay down and die. But when it comes to your doorstep, to look adversity directly in the eye and to approach with honor, with courage, commitment, the same hallmarks that I was as a U.S. Marine. That right there is the hard part, but that part right there is the value that you can give to so many out there that are going through these hard times and these struggles. There's a lot of problems going on in this country, and the only way that we're gonna fix these problems is the American people come together, the citizenry of this country come together for the common good of the country, for the good of the country. People live in a bubble. They got their gym, they got their Starbucks, they got their local movie theater, they've got their local restaurant here, they've got their smoker over here, and they live in this bubble. Yeah. And they don't get out of their bubble. But once something comes into that bubble and they're like, oh wow, like what
do I do now?
Yeah.
We were talking before we started filming, we were talking about these protests that are going on at these different universities and things like this, and they're interviewing these kids out there. They don't know why they're protesting. They're just out there because their friends are out there and they're doing their thing. And they're, you got these, I heard a commentator recently talking about young people today are so disgruntled and depressed because they feel oppressed. They feel like they're not, in the same place where their parents were when their parents were 25 and 30 years old, and they don't feel like they can get, a leg up or succeed or go any further in life because everything's so expensive. And I'm like, oh my God, with this victimization, stop.
Right.
I mean, you're creating your self-victimhood. And you live in the most blessed and prosperous country in the freest country in the history of the world. Mm-hmm. And it's like we can't be happy and protect that. We can't be courageous and fight to keep that. We got to bitch about what's wrong with it, right? Mm-hmm. We got to keep complaining because we're not getting enough. We're not getting enough. When you have people out there who are going through actual adversity, like you went through, and you stuck it to the man. I mean, you took the fight to him. That's the attitude that I think wins back this country. That's the attitude that brings people back together. I mean, listen, I'm no fan of Rashida Tlaib, but I'm glad she signed that bill. Mm-hmm. I'm glad she found some modicum of common sense to see what was right. It disappoints me that a Dan Crenshaw didn't get on board with something like that. It's like it shouldn't be that way. But to the degree that I think we continue to take it to them, fight with honor, with a little bit of common sense, and some decency, I think we can bring this country back.
Hey, look, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. I said I operated equipment. I dipped Copenhagen for over 20 years. I drank beer at the end of the day with the boys. We talked shop. I was a custom, I was a custom landscape contractor. And then I became a lobbyist overnight. Yeah. I became, an unpaid lobbyist. Like, I spent over 12,000 hours of advocacy. Yeah. Thousands of emails and phone calls, 5 trips to D.C. that were, all bought and paid for by folks that were friends or from other veterans that were helping to donate. Like I said, we didn't have any money coming in.
Right.
And again, fighting for the good of the country, fighting for the, so when they denied me my tort claim, you don't always win when it comes to, what I did is I fought the right way. And my settlement didn't come in the form of monetary value. My settlement came in the form of there will never be another one of these egregious cases ever again. Mm-hmm. My settlement was my last name being inked into federal law. Yeah. So every single time that they try to screw over another veteran, they're going to see, yep, that was the last guy we screwed over, and we can't do it anymore because now we have checks and balances. We have new transparency. We have a law over here that says that we can't do that anymore. Yeah. And if they do, they're going to get even more in trouble. So yeah, it's just
accountability. You held them accountable, and I'm glad you did it. It's an impressive story.
You got to stand up. You got to fight for what's right. Yeah. And and I promised myself that I would be in this fight until we had law. And that's exactly what I did. And like I said, man, it's the hardest thing to do. You don't wake up one day and say, I want to become an advocate. Yeah. I mean, because especially for somebody that's been through what you're fighting for.
Right.
Now, you could be an advocate and not have gone through a lot of the same stuff, and and then it just becomes a job. But you're not going to have that passion behind it because you didn't live it. You're not going to have that drive. You're not going to have that, that mindset that says, no, whatever it takes, I've got to do this because I owe it to myself. I owe it to these veterans. I owe it to our country. I owe it to anything and everybody in this country that, pays into our tax system, to the military that are serving right now, because when they get out, they're going to have to, go to the VA and all that other stuff. So, yeah, you were talking about these college kids that are getting together. They're fighting for the flavor of the day, the flavor of the week, the flavor of the month. We don't know what we're protesting. Those aren't advocates. Those are professional agitators that are out there to disrupt, disturb, dismantle, and do everything that I look at as dishonoring my family name. And I could never do a thing like that. I love this country, and I sincerely believe that we are in some bad times right now. But like my good friend Morgan Luttrell says, if man can destroy it, man can fix it.
Yeah.
And that's, where, I've got to stay. Because, this is hard on a man who loves his country, when you see these types of events happen, these injustices that happen. You're like, why did this happen? And why has this happened for so long? And it's gone unnoticed. But did it go unnoticed?
Yeah.
Was it just, this is so profitable that we're not going to say anything about it until, push comes to shove. This guy's getting a lot of media attention. It doesn't look good. His story looks like it was played out in a very, fraudulent type way. We should probably change this, because if not, we are going to look horrible.
Yeah.
So that's,
What's next? You done changing the world? You done passing laws, and anything else needs to get fixed? Or are you pretty satisfied with where we are?
What's next?
No more bills to write.
No, I'm still.
Yeah.
I'm still dabbling with that. I've got some members of Congress I'm working with right now to kind of complete what we started, to finish what we started. I still have some unfinished business.
Yeah.
If you remember the sausage making and the compromise that was done for the first bill that I had passed, there were some things that were taken out that I felt important that we needed to put back in. So we're kind of going through the motions there now. The good news is the majority of everything that we needed done got passed.
Right.
And so we have the accountability there. But like I said, I have some unfinished business that we still need to get done and get passed. And once we do, I believe that we're going to be headed toward a much more accountable and transparent VA because we're going to be holding them to account. I
love it. How can people support you? Where can they find you on social media? You're on all the stuff, Facebook and all that stuff.
So it's under the Today with Tally podcast, or they can go to my website, briantally.com, and I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, X,
all the spots.
Yeah,
all the spots. Well, you're a solid dude, man, and I'm glad you're my friend. And I've enjoyed, getting to know you over the last however long we've known each other, year and a half, whatever. And you're a good follow on social media. Every now and then you'll pop off with something that makes me chuckle out loud. So you're your Doc Holliday stuff and quotes and stuff is always. I'm like, yep, there's Tally, there's Tally. And so I'm glad you did what you did, man, and. Keep on healing, keep on getting better, and stay in the fight. Because I think people need to get involved like this. I really do. I think this is where it's at. This has been the thing that's kind of been resonating in my soul for a while. Is people think, oh, my congressman or my congresswoman will take care of it. No, they won't. They go up there and, like we talk about Dan Crenshaw. Everybody had high hopes for Dan Crenshaw going up there.
Yeah.
And suddenly you got this guy that morphs into something that nobody recognizes.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy.
I have something more to add.
Do it.
So,
go ahead.
I had my livelihood stripped away from me.
Yeah.
I had my constitutional rights stripped away from me. And when they take that away due to no fault of your own, you lose who you are as a man.
Yeah.
You lose your confidence. You lose everything that makes you who you are and who you were. And when I stood up and began to fight for the good of the country, to get that 1% better every single day, I began to reinvent myself and recreate myself into the man that I would eventually become and who I'm living in right now, this one day at a time, Brian Talley. Mm-hmm. And I hold myself accountable to this day, unlike anybody could, more so than any motivational speaker could push me. Or anybody. I am harder on myself than any man or woman in this world.
But you're right. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get better. So I mean, people need to hear that.
Yeah. And you know, we're living in a country right now where mental health is a big deal. You know, so many people are suffering in silence, the anxiety, the depression, you know, and they just get put into this room, the self-isolation, and they don't want to come out. And that's why veterans, it's so important. Like our country promised veterans, hey, we're going to give you college, we're going to give you the best medical care when you get out, we're going to take care of you. And they haven't held up their end of the deal. Yeah. But the veterans have. And it's as if the country has betrayed some of the most courageous people in our country, the most patriotic people in this country. It's as if the more you contribute in this nation, as you know, like the more you contribute in an honorable way, the more you're punished, and the least you contribute, the more you're rewarded. Yeah. Like this is the nation we're living in right now. And this
is a profound thought. You're right. That's the reality we live in.
Yeah, in this coddled society, you know, and it's a shame. It's sad. And a lot of people say, "Oh, there's nothing I can do." Yeah, that'll never happen. Or that's. If I would have had that attitude, I would still be probably living. I'd probably be dead by now. Yeah. You know. Yeah. But you know, as hopeless and as helpless as we all may be and seem to be living in this life that has just become unlike anything I could have ever imagined in our country, you know, we still have to always stay in the fight. Like what I like to always say when I end my podcast, you know, like, you know, don't forget to, stay inspired, stay encouraged, stay motivated, and always stay in the fight. Yeah. Because, you know, tomorrow the sun's going to come up. Yeah. And the next day it's going to come up again. It's going to come up. And the only way that we are going to get back to any sense of, honor in this country is to fight for the, for the greater good and, fight for the greater cause. And, there's enough of us out there to make a difference. I mean, sometimes it only takes one man, sometimes it takes a million, but regardless, if you put together a good plan and you follow through with that plan in a clear and concise way, you can accomplish it,
Yes, you're a living example of that. Well, let's leave it there. I pray that guy's leaf blower runs out of gas and he can't blow any more yards. It's wild. You leave it, it's always something. That's the beauty of this show, that we're pretty laid back. Brian, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for telling that story. I know that's a vulnerable position to be in and be able to tell that story. And but, man, you handled it with grace, honor, and you got something accomplished, which is affecting a lot of lives, millions of lives. So thank you for that. BrianTalley.com. Follow him, check him out, hire him, bring him out to your event, let him talk to your people, and give him an opportunity to kind of share the story and get your people riled up and even teach you how to do what he did, because it's an effective tool, man. It really is. And we still live in a country where you can do stuff like that.
Become a citizen advocate.
Yeah, I love it. WatchChad.com is where you can find me. That's where all the fun stuff is. All the places. Don't forget, leave us a rating and a review wherever podcasts are offered. And I think everybody should get up and go out and blow the leaves in their front yard, Scheider. I mean, we're out of leaves. The guy's blown the shrubs away, the grass away. He's been on the porch 3 times. Maybe he can come up here and blow some of the dog poop off the floor. We'll see. Brian, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate your friendship.
Thank you.
And you're technically neighbors. I mean, you live close by, so I'm thankful for you, man. Thanks for doing that. All right, guys, for the Chad Prather Show, don't forget, share it with your friends. Tell everybody about us. And we do deserve that 5-star rating. We do. BrianTalley.com. Check him out, and we will see you guys next time. Love you. God bless you. Bye.